Imagine training your entire life, becoming one of the fittest people on Earth, only to find yourself struggling to catch your breath after just a few seconds. Not because you're injured, not because you're out of shape, but because of something you can't even see. Every year, thousands of elite athletes travel to compete in some of the highest cities on Earth. Places like La Paz, Bolivia, more than 3,600 meters above sea level. Lhasa in Tibet, perched at nearly 3,700 meters. Cusco, Peru, once the capital of the Inca Empire. Quito, Ecuador, where international football matches are played almost 3 kilometers above sea level. And even La Rinconada, Peru, the highest permanent city on Earth, standing at more than 5,000 meters above sea level. For millions of people, this is simply home, but for visitors, and especially for athletes, it's a completely different world. For decades, high altitude has challenged some of the greatest athletes on the planet. International football teams have struggled to perform in cities like La Paz and Quito, where even experienced professionals often find themselves breathing harder than expected. Cyclists spend weeks training in the mountains, searching for every possible physiological advantage. Distance runners from the highlands of Kenya and Ethiopia have inspired decades of research, as scientists try to understand how living at altitude influences endurance performance. So what makes these places so different? Is there less oxygen in the air? Does your blood suddenly stop carrying oxygen? Or is something far more fascinating happening inside your own body? The answer begins with a single breath, because one of the biggest misconceptions about high altitude is that the air contains less oxygen. It doesn't. Whether you're standing on a beach or on top of a mountain, the atmosphere still contains about 21% oxygen. So, if the amount of oxygen hasn't changed, why does every breath suddenly feel so much harder? Today, we're traveling inside the human body to uncover the extraordinary physiology of high altitude. From your lungs, to your blood, to your heart, to your brain, you'll discover how your body fights to survive when every breath becomes a challenge. The first thing most people believe about high altitude is wrong. Many think there's less oxygen in the air. There isn't. Whether you're standing on a beach or high in the Andes, the atmosphere still contains about 21% oxygen. So, if the amount of oxygen hasn't changed, why does breathing suddenly become so difficult? The answer lies in something invisible: atmospheric pressure. As you climb higher, the air becomes thinner, not because oxygen disappears, but because the molecules become more spread out. Every breath you take contains fewer oxygen molecules, and that changes everything. Inside your lungs, millions of tiny air sacs called alveoli work like microscopic exchange stations. Here, oxygen moves from the air into your bloodstream. At sea level, this process happens remarkably well. The pressure inside the alveoli is high enough to push oxygen into your blood with every breath. But at high altitude, that pressure drops dramatically. Now, far fewer oxygen molecules cross into your bloodstream. Your lungs are working. Your heart is working. Your blood is still carrying oxygen. There's simply less oxygen entering the system, and your brain notices immediately. Within seconds, specialized sensors called peripheral chemoreceptors detect the falling oxygen levels. They send an emergency signal to your brainstem. Breathe faster. Breathe deeper. Get more oxygen. Suddenly, your breathing becomes rapid. Your heart starts beating faster, not because you're exercising harder, but because your body is desperately trying to deliver enough oxygen to every cell. This is why even climbing a few stairs can feel exhausting, even for elite athletes. After playing in La Paz, Neymar admitted, "The altitude makes a huge difference." And that's exactly what physiology predicts. As less oxygen reaches your muscles, your body is forced to work harder. For the same movement, the heart pumps faster, the lungs breathe harder, yet your muscles receive less oxygen than they would at sea level. Imagine trying to power a high-performance engine. While slowly closing the fuel supply, the engine still runs, but not at full power. The human body behaves the same way. This is also why many professional cyclists deliberately train at altitude. Four-time Tour de France champion Chris Froome once explained that altitude training has become an essential part of my preparation. Living at altitude places the body under constant physiological stress. Over time, that stress triggers remarkable adaptations. But those adaptations don't happen overnight. They take days, sometimes weeks. And before your body learns to adapt, it must first survive. As renowned physiologist John B. West wrote, "At extreme altitude, the body is operating near its physiological limits. But what exactly happens inside your blood that allows some people to eventually perform where others can barely breathe? That's where the story becomes even more fascinating. Your body has a problem. Every heartbeat is delivering less oxygen than it did just hours before. But giving up has never been part of human physiology. The moment oxygen levels begin to fall, your body launches an extraordinary survival response. Within seconds, your breathing becomes deeper and faster. Your heart beats more rapidly, trying to push more blood through your lungs and toward your muscles. For a short time, these emergency responses help. But they're not enough, because the real solution takes time. Deep inside your kidneys, millions of specialized cells are constantly monitoring your blood. They don't measure how hard you're breathing. They don't measure your heart rate. They measure one thing: oxygen. When oxygen remains low, the kidneys release a remarkable hormone called erythropoietin, or simply PO. This tiny molecule carries a powerful message: produce more red blood cells. Far away, inside your bone marrow, that message is received. New red blood cells begin to form. Day after day, their numbers increase, each one carrying millions of molecules of hemoglobin, each one capable of transporting oxygen to every tissue in your body. Slowly, your blood becomes a more efficient oxygen delivery system. This process is called acclimatization. It doesn't happen overnight. Most people need several days before they begin to feel better. Complete adaptation may take weeks, and even then, your body never stops adjusting. This remarkable ability explains why millions of people live permanently in places where visitors struggle just to walk uphill. But adaptation has its limits. Go high enough, and no amount of acclimatization can fully compensate. Legendary mountaineer Reinhold Messner experienced this firsthand during his historic ascent of Mount Everest without supplemental oxygen. He later described the experience like this: "We climbed 100 meters, mouths open, trying to suck in air, resting after a few steps, then again a few more." That single sentence reveals something extraordinary. At extreme altitude, every movement becomes expensive. Every heartbeat matters. Every breath is a struggle. And yet, the human body keeps fighting. This incredible capacity to adapt has fascinated scientists for decades. It has also transformed modern sports. Today, many of the world's best endurance athletes deliberately train at altitude, not because it's comfortable, but because they know what happens afterward. When they return to lower elevations, their bodies are often capable of transporting oxygen more efficiently, giving them an important physiological advantage. This strategy became known as live high, train low. Live where oxygen is scarce, train where oxygen is abundant, and allow the body to benefit from both worlds. But despite all these adaptations, there is one organ that remains especially vulnerable when oxygen becomes scarce. The organ that controls every breath, every movement, every decision you'll ever make: your brain. And that's where our journey goes next. Not every organ responds to altitude in the same way. Some are far more sensitive than others. One of them is your brain. Although it represents only about 2% of your body weight, Your brain consumes roughly 20% of all the oxygen you breathe. It has almost no oxygen reserves. Every second, it depends on a continuous supply delivered by your blood. When that supply begins to fall, your brain notices immediately. First, the symptoms may seem harmless. A mild headache, difficulty concentrating, fatigue, dizziness. For many people, even sleeping becomes surprisingly difficult. Not because they're anxious, but because the brain is constantly trying to adjust to a world with less available oxygen. Fortunately, most healthy people gradually adapt. As the days pass, breathing becomes easier, the heart slows down, the body learns to survive in its new environment. But if someone climbs too high or ascends too quickly, the consequences can become much more serious. Sometimes, fluid begins to leak into the lungs, making it even harder for oxygen to enter the bloodstream. In rare cases, fluid can also accumulate inside the brain, increasing pressure within the skull. These conditions are medical emergencies and remind us that even the remarkable adaptability of the human body has its limits. Fortunately, they're also largely preventable. Climbing gradually, giving your body time to acclimatize, staying well hydrated, avoiding intense exercise during the first days. Sometimes, the most important step toward the summit is knowing when to slow down, because altitude isn't something you conquer. It's something your body must learn to live with. From the outside, a mountain looks silent, calm, almost lifeless. But inside your body, every meter of elevation triggers an extraordinary physiological response. Your lungs breathe faster, your heart beats harder, your kidneys release hormones, your bone marrow creates new blood cells, billions of cells working together for one simple purpose: to keep oxygen moving. The air never changed. It was always made of about 21% oxygen. What changed was the challenge of getting that oxygen to every cell in your body. And perhaps that's what makes human physiology so extraordinary. The greatest battle at high altitude isn't against the mountain. It isn't against the weather. It isn't even against your opponent. It's the silent battle happening inside you with every single breath. Thank you for watching Physiology Hub. See you in the next journey inside the human body.